Now, Washington Mornings on the Mall. At AM 630. WMAL.
7 on WMAL, Brian Eman and Brian Wilson. That's right. Mary Catherine's not here and won't be here anymore. She is moving on. She's left the radio station. She's going to be doing great things, and she's been doing great things for quite some time. We love her professionally, personally.
Think the world of
Miss her.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, she's got a lot of things, a lot of irons in the fire. She decided to go some different directions, and we wish her only the very best in the days ahead. But from here on out, it's you and me, buddy.
Hey, man. Brian and Brian. Little B&B in the morning.
That's right, and it's Brian with an I. I get top billing.
That's just paying me $2 a day.
That's $2 a day for that, right. All right, let's see. We do have it. Well, Tucker Carlson is standing by on the line. Tucker still has a relationship with Mary Catherine over at the Daily Caller. Hey, Tucker, how are you?
Well, good morning. I emailed Mary Catherine this morning.
Oh, well, good.
She's really one of the sweet people in the world.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it truly is. Okay, listen, let's talk about what's going on Super Tuesday. We're not going to have any clue any more than we do today about who's going to be the nominee when it's all over, said and done. Don't you agree?
That's probably right. I mean, the question is money. Can the second and third guys, the fourth guy, who is likely to be Ron Paul, can go forever. I mean, he's like the Viet Cong. He can march 50 miles in truck tire sandals on a bowl of rice and sleep in a tree. I mean, it's not like he's going to, run out of money and stop. He's also a great fundraiser. But Santorum and Gingrich, can they keep going? Will the money dry up? I mean, that's the question. They can keep going, delegate-wise. Romney's not going to put it away, but will their funders lose heart? That's the question. So I'm not sure how long it'll take for us to know that, but I think pretty quickly.
Well, Santorum is doing better in the polls than is Newt Gingrich at the moment. And he sort of hinted around, as Newt Gingrich did once before of him, that maybe it's time for somebody to drop out of the race. And if they did, then I could handily take on one Mitt Romney and do well. And the polls seem to suggest that if all of the support for Gingrich went to Santorum, that in fact he would do very well against Mitt Romney.
I think that's absolutely right. They need to make a deal. He can promise to make Newt head of Amtrak, and they can sort of proceed from there.
I'm sure he would take that to be head of Amtrak as well.
Well, he'd probably do a pretty good job.
Yeah. I mean, if he has said in the past that his main objective is to make sure that Mitt Romney is not the nominee, and if he's true to his word, then maybe the best thing is for him to step aside to let Santorum go one-on-one with Romney.
Exactly. No, I mean, of course, that would be the best thing for, I guess, the party, if you believe that Romney's a bad choice. It would certainly be the best for the anti-Mitt movement, but these guys don't think that way. I mean, all of them feel like they've been appointed by God to be president.
Right. All right, let me ask you about the Attorney General, Eric Holder, is going to outline today the legal framework for the use of the government to target, assassinate, whatever you want to say, kill Americans overseas. Going to give a big speech apparently at Northwestern. This is, what they used Anwar al-Awlaki when he was killed in Yemen by a drone strike. And now, apparently, they say that they have the legal force to do this under a congressional resolution that was passed right after 9/11. Now, we talked to Joe DeGenova, former U.S. prosecutor here in D.C., our legal expert about it, and he says, yes, that's the legal method of it. But if you actually look at what this resolution says, you could also say that it allows the government, the administration, whether it's this administration or the next one, to use the same kind of force, lethal force, inside the United States against an American citizen if they are determined to be a terrorist and a threat to the United States.
Right.
I want to get your take on it. You're more of a libertarian.
Judicially, by the way. I mean, of course, the government reserves the right to kill its citizens after trials.
Right, after
without a trial.
But this would take due process and throw it out the window.
Right, and this is not in direct self-defense. This is not the suspect raises a firearm, I kill him.
Right.
This is, we perceive him from afar to be a threat, and so we go assassinate him.
Now, Joe wasn't concerned about it. He said, hey, if we're at war, this is what we need to do. I'm uneasy with it, although, the fact of if an American is a terrorist and wants to blow up, New York City or Washington, D.C., if he died, with the FBI or whoever going after him, I could understand it. But does it make you uneasy for them to say, hey, yes, even an American citizen, if you're considered to be a terrorist, we have the legal ability to execute you?
Does it make me uneasy? Well, I'm not insane, and so therefore it does make me uneasy. And it would make any thoughtful. And I love Joe, and I'm not in any way criticizing Joe DeGenova, who I really like and admire. I didn't hear the conversation, but I can just say, as an abstract question about this issue, yeah, of course it makes me uneasy, and it ought to make every American uneasy. I mean, look, you can construct a scenario in which it's the preferable move, of course, but as a principle, it's terrifying. And by the way, where is the civil libertarian left? You know, as much as I spend most of my life complaining about the left, and I do think they've been they've hurt the country, and I think their ideas are wrong. Well, let me just put it that way. It was always kind of nice to have, jumpy, outraged civil libertarians, even unreasonable ones, because it reminded people that, the government, while it's almost always on our side, sometimes isn't on our side and actually does need to be restrained a little bit. They were a voice of restraint. But it turned out they were a bunch of partisan robots who, when a Democratic administration got elected, were unwilling to criticize it. And that's really a shame. We've lost an important voice, I think, a moderating voice in the ACLU types. Horrible as they often were, they did make important points.
All right, Tucker, I want to draw you into a burning controversy.
That's where I live.
That was generated by our friend Jim Vance over at Channel 4. He goes on, gives an editorial, and says, when talking about the Jeremy Lin situation, some things that were said about Jeremy Lin, he says, look, you can be concerned about the things that have been said about Jeremy Lin, but you also should be concerned about the term Redskins, which he said is a racial epithet that is akin to using the N-word. And he thinks it's time for us to have a citywide discussion about whether or not the name of the team should be changed. What say you about this burning issue of our day, Tucker Carlson?
Well, I would say anytime someone's feelings are hurt, we ought to call the police, because that's obviously an unacceptable outcome. If someone's offended or aggrieved or doesn't feel honored by certain language, we should ban it. Of course. I mean, look, this whole conversation is insane. Like, the country's collapsing. Our debt is bigger than our GDP. Like, who cares? Who cares? Call them the Peckerwood crackers. I don't. It's like it doesn't matter. What am I going to be like? Filing a suit on behalf of angry white people? No, because I don't care. Right? I mean, it's just like this whole last 20-year interlude where we've convinced ourselves that, like, the most important thing is not to hurt someone's feelings. Literally, being a bigot is worse than being a murderer.
Well,
I'm not defending bigotry, obviously, at all. I'm not a bigot, and I think it's wrong. But in the hierarchy of wrongs, hurting someone's feelings using insensitive language is not even close to the top of the list of bad things that can happen to us or our country. So, like, it's a little frivolous. It's the kind of stuff that rich countries worry about.
Well,
and we're no longer in a position to worry about something this minor.
You've hurt my feelings in the way that you addressed that question.
Sorry. Got me going.
Well, Dan Snyder, I'm thinking about it with, you could put a picture of a saltine, and then you have Nabisco, so you get, double the money.
Hail to the crackers.
Look, he should sell that team to, like, a decent person, I think. I mean, let me just add my voice to the chorus, calling for Dan Snyder to go away and never, move to Baltimore or Indianapolis.
Trust me, they don't want him in Baltimore. They got a good thing going on there. Thank you, Tucker, as always. We appreciate it.